Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Alison McConnell here with me on the show today. We'll look back over 3 quarter-finals in the Scottish Cup and ahead to the one remaining fixture taking place tonight, Kilmarnock against St Mirren. You can follow us on our Facebook. We'd be delighted if you could do that. And also you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel as well. Lots of football to discuss. And of course, we'll look ahead to the Champions League semi-finals, which takes place tomorrow and on Wednesday, as well as some of the emerging stories today. So all that to look forward to. Well, the first point of order, Roughie, is the double's still on, but it's for St Johnstone.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, they've done everything asked of them. We all knew they had a sticky start to the season. And for them to be in that position is absolutely wonderful, the club. And it's the same, they fall into the same category. Unfortunately, the fans can't celebrate the fantastic season that they've had. But as a team, not any individuals, they just go out there as a collective, and they all stick together and get the rewards.
Well, if it was a boxing analogy on this one, Alison, it was on the ropes until they hit Rangers with a sucker punch. They looked as if they were dead and buried. Rangers had so many chances. Eventually they got one from Tavernier, but I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams would have envisaged big Zander Clark walking up there like a lighthouse with a luminous green top on, standing free in the penalty box to head the ball for Kane to just get it over the line.
I was just about to say, he was very inconspicuous, wasn't he, as he was sneaking into that penalty box. But no, I don't think anyone would have anticipated it. There's a fair chance even the St Johnstone players themselves, you'd have felt the clock ticking, and I've suspected that the time might have ran away with you, but it just shows you what can happen. And I think it's been a remarkable turnaround since Callum Davidson went in. I think winning the League Cup was extraordinary for them. They've been fairly consistent on the back of that since then. I think they've only lost a couple of games. It's been an extraordinary last few months for them, and I think Hibs will probably be favourites now to go and win it, but I don't think people would want to look too far. I think
he doesn't want you to jinx him. It's as simple as that. But listen, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, Tam, it's an unusual situation because, I mean, there's all sorts of statistics go out there. But as soon as I was watching the game, I mean, Rangers had all the possession as well. They just couldn't get that finishing touch, hit the post. Zander Clark comes up with another unbelievable save from Morelos too. And then you sit and you say to yourself, the gods are with them. It just had that feeling about it. But, once they got the equaliser and then it goes to penalty kicks, you're thinking this is surely not going to go their way. But in the end it did, because the big keeper produced 2 great saves.
Peter, as soon as that goal went in for St Johnstone, I fancied St Johnstone to win the penalty shootout. As you said, Zander Clark had a brilliant game. Great save from Morelos. Comes up, thought he scored the winner, by the way, but unfortunately it was Kane that tapped it in. But an assist to take that, and then just to save a couple of penalties as well. Listen, he was absolutely outstanding. He's on the match, and for Rangers, as you said, I thought they started the game poorly. St Johnstone were untroubled. I thought the first half. Second half, Rangers did start to put on a little bit of pressure, had a couple of chances. Morelos will be disappointed he didn't score, but extra time, I think it was pretty itchy-peachy. O'Harlan had a great chance to win it, went through, and the goalkeeper McGregor put off a great save, and when Rangers got the goal, you just thought they've nicked it. They've got through without playing too well, and unfortunately for them, Johnstone got the other part and scored. But you've got to give massive credit to St Johnstone. The character, the heart they showed. And I think it was difficult. Rangers were obviously rested a lot of players during the week. They had fresh guys coming in. St Johnstone went the same again. Same 11 players, 12 players, 13 players. Rangers were bringing guys like Defoe off the bench, Roof. And you just thought that quality would have told in extra time. But fair play to St Johnstone. They never gave up, and they got their reward in the end. And as you said, it's going to be a wonderful season for Sunday, possibly. I mean, St Johnstone, if they win 2 trophies, not only will Callum Davison be manager of the year, I think he'd be manager of the century. I think he could chuck it to win 2 trophies. Where do you go for as a manager your first season? And then for Hibs, Jack Ross, could finish third and win the Scottish Cup. So that's massive incentive for both of the clubs and the other two.
Yeah, no surprise the man of the moment, Xander Clark, talking after the game, said he only had one thing in mind when they knew that St Johnstone had a corner.
You just go up and hope to try and cause a bit of havoc. Everybody's got a certain player that they need to be marking, and nobody's ever going to be marking me. And if somebody does, then it's usually one of the bigger ones that will go on the goalie. So I was just trying to create that sort of uncertainty. I see the ball come to me and just get a glance on it, and it hits Kano and goes in, and that was a great feeling. So I'll need to try and see if the chairman will give me an assist bonus.
Yeah, Roughie, as a goalkeeper, I know you like to play in your day when you were out. You like to play out field at 5-a-sides and 11-a-sides. Correct me if I'm wrong. But did you ever go? Yeah, absolutely. He's got a great left peg on him. Did you ever go up for corners?
No, never. I mean, it was a Roy the Rovers moment, wasn't it? Even though he goes up there, you don't visualise. I mean, I've seen lots of goalkeepers getting up there, and never getting anywhere near the ball. But for to place it right on his head where he was, was just amazing. And I could see he was wanting to claim it. Obviously Kane got a touch on it, but I thought he had actually scored. I think we noticed it till later on. But no, it's one of the ones you go up and you don't get it, and then all of a sudden, I've never seen a goalkeeper coming up and not getting it, and the other team scoring at the other end. I don't know how that never happens. But no, a tremendous night for the big goalie. It was absolutely superb.
Peter, there was nobody near him.
Oh, I mean, that's the thing about it. I mean,
he was standing himself.
He's about 3 or 4 yards out. I'm thinking he's getting all the time. By the way, fair play to the boy. It was a good header as well. It wasn't as if it was one of those ones where you thought he doesn't know what he's doing. It was a good header. And of course, Callum Davison, rightly so, singing his praises.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first penalty, obviously crucial, was a great save. He stayed tall, and he saved that one to give him probably the confidence to go forwards. But for me, I thought he was outstanding today, Xander. I thought he was superb. He pulled off a couple of fantastic saves when we needed it, as you have to when you come to Ibrox. And then at the end, obviously, it'll be something he'll probably remember for the rest of his life.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Alison. I was looking at some of the stats on it. As soon as the ball hit the back of the net, and he's made those 2 penalty saves, I thought to myself, I wonder when was the last time out with Celtic and Rangers a team won the double, and it was Aberdeen back in season 83-84. But it's also, quite astounding that Celtic and Rangers are not in the semi-finals. I think it's something like 1947 or something since that last happened.
It's extraordinary, but it just paves the way. What you have now are 4 semi-finalists who will all genuinely believe that they have an opportunity of going on and winning the trophy. The path's there. I think it just comes down now to a bit of belief and seeing what happens. But you're guaranteed, as Tam said, it could be an incredible season for a couple of managers here. For Callum Davidson to finish his first season in management with 2 trophies, or for Jack Ross to finish third and end up with a Scottish Cup. I mean, it would be a glorious achievement for them. Likewise, St Mirren that are playing this evening, they've got every incentive now to go and get into the semi-finals. They obviously just were pipped to the post for that top 6 place by St Johnstone. Although Kilmarnock obviously will have something to say about it tonight.
Yeah, if you were asking any Rangers fan what trophy they would want to win, it's the league. There is absolutely no doubt about it. This season it was all about the league. But the manager, Steven Gerrard, has mentioned 1 trophy in 9 since he arrived is not good enough.
The reality is we need to be better in cup competitions. We're getting to this stage too many times and getting stung. For example, St Mirren in the League Cup. In the final moments of games 4 days ago, we haven't managed the game well enough as a team, and we were paid for that. 2 points were taken away. So that's a challenge for me to improve in cup competitions and get a group that's capable of being better and giving our fans what they deserve, which is more trophies, not just 1 out of 9. That's not good enough here.
Yeah, I think he freely accepts that that's not good enough, Roughie. You know, there's a few players I think that will be shifted on so that he can try and get another level again.
Yeah, I think after the Rangers won the league, you know, that the emphasis was on the cup. Everybody likes to be associated with a double. We saw Celtic celebrating with the trebles, you know. So I think really deep down he needed that cup, you know, as well as the league, you know, to get him. You know, you could tell there just now, you know, he was disappointed. So, you know, I think it was a big one on the agenda, and it's one that slipped away. So still celebrate the league, but I'm sure deep down he'd have wanted that double.
Oh, make no mistake about it, Roughie. Steven Gerrard mentioned after it he wanted the cup.
I made it clear that this cup was a priority and we needed to keep hungry and keep fighting all the way to the end. And to be honest with you, a lot of tonight was okay. We were the better team, more possession, more chances. You've got to take them chances when them big moments come. Otherwise, you can always get stung at the end of games. You know, credit to St Johnstone, they stayed in the game really well, and they get that one moment, and there's nowhere to go from there except the penalty shootout. So that's on us.
Yeah, so he freely accepts the responsibility of it. And of course, you only have to look at the record. Not good enough for Rangers, as reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi looks back on.
Rangers manager Steven Gerrard claimed his side had been stung too many times in cup competitions after last night's elimination at the hands of St Johnstone. So let's take a look back at all of the Gers Cup exits over the last 3 years. Gerrard's first trip to Hampden was in late 2018 for the League Cup semi, as they dominated against Aberdeen but couldn't find the back of the net, with Umar Sadiq leading the line. Lewis Ferguson rose highest to head in with 10 minutes to play and send the Dons to the final. Darren McManus' side did the cup double over their Glasgow rivals that season when they were 2-0 victors at Ibrox in a Scottish Cup quarter-final replay. Rangers never got going and conceded in the third minute before crashing out and ending the season empty-handed. A year on, Gerrard reached his first League Cup final, but was again left with nothing as Celtic snatched the trophy thanks to Christopher Jullien, despite the Gers' near-total domination. They were impressive, but they couldn't find a way past the 10 men of the hoops, with Fraser Forster saving Alfredo Morelos' penalty. Eventual Scottish Cup finalists Hearts knocked out Rangers in February 2020, with Oliver Bozanic capitalising on a slack back pass to make the difference in one of the last games before the pandemic lockdown. Now, Rangers have only lost 2 domestic matches this campaign, and both have been in the Cups. St Mirren became the first team to inflict defeat on the Ibrox side all season, winning a thrilling League Cup quarter-final 3-2 with a last-minute Conor McCarthy winner. And now St Johnstone are on for a cup double after Xander Clark headed in off Chris Kane to send the game to penalties before saving James Tavernier and Kemar Roof's spot kicks. It's been an undoubtedly brilliant season, but one domestic trophy from 9 entered is simply not good enough, and Gerrard will aim to address the problem next season.
Yeah, just looking back on it, it isn't good enough. But I think the key element of this, Tam, that everybody's looking at is quite simply that, the key to trying to knock Rangers out of a cup competition seems to be you've got to ride your luck, and then you've got to seize that moment when it comes, and it may well be just one chance, but it's proving to be, their Achilles heel. They're giving teams that moment.
Yeah, and you look at some of the teams Peter they've lost against. I mean, Aberdeen twice. Hearts, the worst Hearts team I've ever seen. St Mirren, St Johnstone. They have, for me, they've bottled it on occasion. And I think that you look at Celtic and you look at the quadruple treble, it just shows you how hard it is, because winning cups is no easy, because every team on their day can beat another team. As you said, if you ride your luck, you get lucky, the keeper's a good game, and you maybe take 1 or 2 chances at the other end, you can put anybody out on any given day. So I think Rangers have seen that this season. I mean, you look at the opportunity they've had this season, to win the treble, really. I mean, Celtic have been out, and they've had great opportunities at St Mirren and St Johnstone. Celtic have already been out at both competitions. A great opportunity, I feel, Rangers have blown to win a domestic treble this season. So I think Gerrard will be devastated. I think the Rangers fans will be angry. But as you said, the main one this season was winning the league, stopping 10 in a row, but still doesn't take away from one from 9 as a poor record for a Rangers manager.
Nothing like over-exaggeration on Tam's part, Alison. The worst Hearts team he's ever seen. I've seen a few. They're not the worst.
Indeed, I think he's just enjoying stirring the pot there. I think he doesn't get enough hassle on Twitter, so he's just inviting a wee bit more. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it wasn't a Hearts team that you would be looking at and anticipating them beating Rangers. And funnily enough, I think in the aftermath of that game, I think Steven Gerrard was very, very close to calling time on his chapter at Ibrox. I think he teetered on the brink. I think many of us expected that might have been the final straw for him, and then within a couple of weeks we were all in lockdown, and everything changed entirely on the back of that. And then this season it's just flipped around quite spectacularly.
Yeah, and fair play to St Johnstone. I think sometimes when a team beats Celtic or Rangers, it gets lost in the narrative of what went wrong with Rangers or Celtic, but they battled away, they seized their moment, and the keeper came up trumps in the penalty shootout as well. So well done to Callum Davison. As Tam mentioned earlier there, he's got a right good chance of being in the running for Manager of the Year. St Johnstone double. What about the odds with that? With the bookies at the start of the season? Long, to say the least. What about the Hibbies? Oh, you were jammy. Oh, jammy to say that. Actually, when this equaliser, I thought to myself, can't wait to see his face on Hibs TV if this goes pear-shaped.
I don't know. It was a carbon copy of during the week against Livingston. Game one, cruising, and just switch off at the back. And the first goal, I think's pretty lucky. I think the boy, is it Lammy? He just tries to help it back into the box, and the goalkeeper's a bit disorientated, and just somehow it finds its way in the corner. And then, there's an opportunity for Hibs to run into the corner with Newell and Boyle, and they made a mess of it, and the ball came up the other end, and there's a free header for Tony Watts. Good header, but nobody's near him, and he heads it into the bottom corner, and I couldn't believe it. We're thinking, Hibs are in the semi-final again, and then you've got to do it the hard way, and a couple of chances for each side, and then penalty shootout, as you said, it's a lottery. And fortunately for Hibs, they came out on the right side of it. Motherwell missed a couple of penalties, and big Ryan Porteous, who was outstanding on the day, he managed to roll his away, but made it really difficult. But I think that's just the Hibs way. The Hibs supporters expect that. They don't expect anything to be smooth. But got there in the end, and now, as you said, a great chance to win the Scottish Cup again and get back to Hampden.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, though, I think sometime in the future we'll try and get Roughie back shortly, by the way. It's not, I don't know if there's been some kind of power cut in Cumbernauld, but we'll do our best. And thankfully, Ali, we're nearing the point where we'll never need to be in our houses again. Everybody will be in the studio. I cannot wait. The point I was going to make on the game itself, I think in the future, Alison, as football continually evolves, changes, comes up with new rules, I think we'll eventually go straight to a penalty shootout in cup competitions. If you can't settle at 90, I think you should go straight to penalties. I don't know what you feel about it.
Yeah, I think for a time too, we had the golden goal, and I think that encouraged just both teams to go and try and attack in added time and extra time. But I think you might be right. I think if you've got a stalemate after 90 minutes, it might just be the most effective way of settling the tie. You're also talking now, you've got an entirely new generation who are all coming through, whose attention spans are based on TikToks and Twitter and social media accounts that are all immediate. Satisfaction's immediate. They don't have the patience for other things. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Great point, Alison. Still enough about Tam. Let's move on. It's the reason why we might as well mention something that Tam doesn't want to hear is who's going to win the cup. Well, it's a great opportunity, according to Jack Ross, the Hibs boss.
Well, we set big ambitions at the start of the season, what we wanted to achieve this year, and winning the cup was one of them. There was nothing wrong, I think, with us doing that as a club, but players have got to stand up to it, and we've been close, in the 2 semi-finals to date, and this is a third one for us. We believe we're a good enough group to do it, but you've got to continually prove it on the park, and for 80 minutes tonight, the first 90, we showed that in abundance. We were really, really good. The game takes a turn in the last 10, and then extra time we show good character again. So the players, I think, have improved and grown over the season, and I think every team that gets to this last 4 stage will believe they can go on and win it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll talk about Kilmarnock St Mirren shortly, but Tam, I firmly believe the only team that I'll look at and think could stop them now is St Johnstone.
Yeah, I'd like to avoid them if I'm being honest. I had a little look last night, and Hibs have took 9 points from 9 off of Kilmarnock, and 9 points out of 9 off of St Mirren. So I'd like to get them in the semi-final, to be honest, because I know Gogic is suspended, which is a huge blow. So I think St Johnstone this season are a very, very strong cup side. I think that's one you want to avoid. Maybe take them in the final. But at this stage, as Jack Ross just said there, all 4 teams will fancy their chances. Celtic and Rangers are out. It's wide open. Hibs will probably be the favourites for the bookies, but that means nothing, as we've seen this season. It means nothing. You've got to go there with a belief, and you've got to go there with the right attitude and get the wee breaks on the night. Take your chances. Hibs should have beat Hearts for me. They were the better side on the night, but Kevin Nisbet misses a penalty in extra time, and Craig Gordon's a couple of wonder saves, and then St Johnstone game, Jamie Murphy misses a sitter. After 20 minutes, and it could be different. You've got to take your chances, and you've got to get the little breaks, and whoever team gets that, I think, out of the final 4 will go and win it.
Yeah, and commiserations to Motherwell as well. They put up a real battle, and I think Graham Alexander had the feeling that there was only going to be one winner when they got the equaliser.
The players showed the character to get on the ball, press from the front, and just showed what a quality team we can be. To come back against a fantastic team in Hibs away from home, it's such a pressure game from 2-0 to equalise, and then, to be honest, I thought there was only one winner after that. But unfortunately, we just couldn't get that winning goal before the penalties.
Yeah, the real positives though is Tony Watt for me, Alison when he's back and he's fit. Motherwell, I think they've got a great player for next season. He really is, I think, settled. He really settled down in the area now. I think they'll start to really see the best of him.
Yeah, he's had quite a nomadic career up to date. So a part of me just thinks he's one of these players that needs to feel a sense of belonging, that he needs to feel loved and wanted at a club, and I think he's maybe found that at Fir Park. I was actually surprised that he came off the bench. We'd been at Fir Park on Friday just speaking to the manager, and I think, like you said, a recurring problem with his heel. I think they had gambled on his fitness just by throwing him on, and obviously got the reward. But you're right. I think what we've seen this season from Tony Watt is a potential that we've all glimpsed in sporadic bursts at times in his career, but we need to see it regularly now. We need to see him fulfilling that promise, because I don't think there's ever been any question about a natural talent that's there. But I think he looks very comfortable at Motherwell, and I think he's maybe found a home there.
Yeah, we'll talk about Kilmarnock St Mirren in a moment. We'll also look at the Champions League semi-finals. I will discuss Hearts and that rather muted title celebration. One other little point has to be the other quarter-final tie, which, I mean, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I actually had to look twice at the scoreline, Tam, and it was quite simply Aberdeen 0, Dundee United 3. I know a few Dundee United fans were miffed at me for mentioning the fact that not only are Aberdeen abysmal, but it's a mediocre Dundee United side. I wouldn't retract that. I think Dundee United have spent a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I've seen you getting abuse.
Oh, I don't mind getting abuse. Some of that, I can live with it because I can rationalise it in my head. Some of it was actually right on the mark, but nevertheless,
that was us.
Yeah, exactly. They're a mediocre team. I mean, they spent a lot of money, Tam, but fair play to them. On the day, they were far better than Aberdeen.
That's what we're speaking about on the day. In Dundee United this season, we've seen them a few times. I've seen them a couple of times against Hibs. I'd agree with you. I've not been impressed with them all season. I think they've got better players. I just think they're very negative the way they play. But obviously, they rested a few players during the week against Kilmarnock, and they brought them back into the game. And Aberdeen, I think, have had quite a difficult week. Celtic put a lot into that game during the week, and I just think Stephen Glass spoke about it after the game. I just think Aberdeen were tired. I just think they took those 3 games in a week, had took it out of them, and they had nothing left. And Dundee United were excellent on the day. And I've seen Mickey Mellon saying it was Dundee United's best performance of the season, and to save it for a quarter final at Pittodrie is no bad thing. So I think that you know, you've got to give Dundee a lot of credit. They were excellent, deserve to win, and they'll go into the semi-finals with, I think, as good a chance as any of the other three.
Yeah, and Alison, if you were listening to and watching Red TV, you'd have thought the commentator and the co-commentator were going to jump into the North Sea and never come back. I mean, they were absolutely disconsolate, slaughtered Canberry. I mean, I looked at the team that had come onto the park, and I thought to myself, he's going to have to clear it out. You know, I think they were actually at one point talking about, oh, it's great when we're 3-0 down. They were talking about it's great for some of the youngsters to get a game. And I thought to myself, Aberdeen, to be fourth behind Hibs and to get knocked out by that Dundee United side was, a sad indictment of where they are with a crew of people who are just not good enough.
I think it's shone a light on the work that's going to need to be done on that squad over the next few months, just in preparation of the new campaign. I think obviously Scott Brown is committed to going up there for the start of the season, but I think Stephen Glass will need an overhaul of the squad. I thought it was so insipid. I thought it was a desperately poor performance. I thought Dundee United could have scored more. I thought by half time it could easily have been 4 or 5-0. And like you say, it's not a Dundee United side that have particularly flattered this season, being back in the top flight, and I think Aberdeen should be expected to come through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Poor Aberdeen, but well done to Dundee United. I mean, you have to praise United for their performance on the day, their goals as well. McNulty scoring, and of course Ryan Edwards with a bullet header, and then, the third one was just the icing on the cake for them. So fair play to Dundee United. They find themselves in the semi-final. Are they good enough to go all the way? I mean, listen, Tam, let's not forget, we're talking the last couple of weeks about people saying Mickey Mellon won't be there next season.
I know. He could win the Scottish Cup. I think he would be there. So I know there's a lot of rumours up there at Dundee United about Mickey Mellon's position, and maybe he's wanting to go back down to England, but he seems totally committed to the club, and that was a massive result. That will get the fans, really back on side. And as I said, they go into the semi-finals with as much a chance as anybody because they've got quality, particularly in the forward areas. Always like Mark McNulty, Lauren Shankland's there, Nicky Clark. So when you've got guys like that up top, they're capable of scoring goals for you in big cup games.
Yeah, what about a man who's capable of scoring goals? He could be the match winner, Ali, and that is quite simply your man Kyle Lafferty. I mean, he has literally transformed Kilmarnock.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think pound for pound, he looks like a fairly outstanding pickup this year for Kilmarnock. I think single-handedly he's steered them away, or his goals have steered them away from that relegation wire. And if we'd looked at tonight's game a month ago, 6 weeks ago, you would have been putting your money on St Mirren, but I think Kyle Lafferty could be the difference tonight. So 10 goals he's got so far. I think when you're banging in hat-tricks and scoring goals regularly, I think his confidence will be high. I think that belief then spreads through the team when you've got someone in the box that if you do get chances, that he'll have the ability to convert them. I think he's turned things around spectacularly for them.
No surprise that St Mirren boss Jim Goodwin has got a lot of praise for Tommy Wright, the Kilmarnock boss, and he's well aware of the qualities of Lafferty.
I've got a lot of respect for Tommy Wright, and any time I faced any of his St Johnstone teams in the couple of seasons I've been here, always been very difficult. Very, very well organised. A top manager. He's had great success at St Johnstone, and I've got no doubt he'll have similar successes at Kilmarnock. Lafferty's probably the only real change that Kilmarnock have made, but it's been a great signing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think this could go to extra time and penalties as well, Tam.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one to call, Peter. I think both sides will get into it confident. As you said, Kyle Lafferty's been superb for Kilmarnock. He's probably keeping them in division. But I think all round, St Mirren have got better players. I think they're a better side. So I think St Mirren might edge that. I'm actually going to go down to the game tonight as well, so I'm doing a little bit of work for Stephen Kenny. So hopefully it's a good game and the best team wins, but I just fancy St Mirren to edge it.
Yeah, okay. Tough one to call. I think they might edge it after extra time. I'm going to go with St Mirren. Alison, where's your money?
I'm going for St Mirren in 90 minutes. I'm at Rugby Park tonight and I am not welcoming the prospect of extra time penalties.
So there's the logic here is I'm a journalist and I don't want to work
90 minutes.
for half hour. Yeah, absolutely. She doesn't want to change her top line in the 89th minute of the match. Although I must admit, Ali, can you imagine the amount of journals yesterday who would have been there and they've already written that James Tavernier is the top man? I mean, it's your worst nightmare when you get to that point where you've written the top line and suddenly you have to just completely change it.
It's my first thought is sympathy to the journalists.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you might be isolated in that from a few people yesterday, but yeah, that was my first thought as well. I thought some of the guys will be absolutely battering their keys now, thinking this has changed dramatically. So we've all gone for St Mirren. You can give us your view on it. Do you think Killie with Lafferty can go through? Give us your thoughts on that. And as the bookies rightly make, Hibs the favourites. Tam, I know you'll think Hibs are going to win it. So, Alison, I'm going to ask you, who are you going for? I'm going to go for St Johnstone, just to play, devil's advocate here. What about yourself, Ali?
I think St Johnstone, I have a sneaky feeling about St Johnstone too. I think between St Johnstone and Hibs, those two would be my front runners, but I just think the psychology of the tournament and the psychology of Hibs as they get deeper into it, I think possibly encourages me to think about St Johnstone. They've got a particular spirit about them that we've seen in the last few months. I think sometimes it just looks fated. I thought last night that goal looked fairly... just the luck that they carried to get through. You sometimes wonder if it's just fated that your name's on the cup and that's it. But I'm going to go for St Johnstone too.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Tam? I mean, the other thing about it as well, Tam, which is amazing.
Very happy for people who tipped St Johnstone.
Well, absolutely, I know you are, because when I looked at St Johnstone with Tommy Wright winning the Scottish Cup for them, I thought, that is unbelievable. I mean, just he'll go down in history. I mean, those guys thought they'd be dining out on that Scottish Cup win for the next 30 years at dinners, Tam. This guy, Callum Davison, and this crew could absolutely supersede them.
They could, Peter. I mean, there could be statues right round McDermott Park in the players. I mean, they were speaking about this team for the next 500 years if they win 2 cups in the same season. So there is what an opportunity for them, and they've got the confidence of already winning a cup. So that does, that confidence and that belief that does kind of, for me, I know the bookies make Hibs favourite, but I would make St Johnstone favourites, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, just in case you thought technology has caught us out with Roughie, he's not feeling too well. And Alison and I were privy to that just at the start of the programme. So he's just gone to lie down, and he'll be back fighting fit tomorrow, fingers crossed. But because a few people are saying, what's happened to Roughie? If the gods are with St Johnstone, Ali, it might be because one of their talisman, Stevie May's just signed an extended contract. He was there when they won the Scottish Cup. You know, maybe there's just one person that just gives them that wee bit of luck. Could be Stevie May.
Yeah, I just think there seems a belief about them. There seems a confidence about them. I think the manner in which they've played since the turn of the year has been fairly consistent. I think snatching that top 6 spot just on the last day, and then adding that to the League Cup winner. I think the dressing room will feel confident. I think there'll be a sense of assurance about the run, and particularly now, if you think you knock out Rangers, if you think you've got to the semi-final by knocking out a team who have blown everyone else out of the water domestically this season in the league, and they've won their first championship for a decade. You've gone to Ibrox, where no domestic team has won all season, and come away having got yourself through. I think it will make you fairly fearless going into the next round.
Yeah, good point. Another good thing about it, Tam, whoever wins the Scottish Cup, hopefully they'll be delighted about it, because Hearts won the championship and it was the most muted celebration ever.
That was awkward, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. I must admit, I actually, when I watched Stephen pick the trophy up, and then, it was one of those ones, and I thought, please, don't do it. Don't bow to fans giving it, they're unhappy with it. We all know, I mean, I've been the biggest, backer of Hearts and how they were treated last season, but you've won a trophy. You've battled the whole season. Celebrate it.
They should have, Peter. I don't know why they didn't do that. I mean, as you said, some players go through their whole career without winning anything. It's still an achievement for Hearts. Okay, they were overwhelming favourites to win the league, but they've still had to do the hard graft. Go to places, in Arbroath and Alloa and go and get results. And they should be entitled to celebrate it, but it was just awkward, wasn't it? It was the worst title celebrations I've ever seen. It just looked as if it didn't want to be there, and I don't understand that. I think you should be delighted if you win a trophy, and as I said, it was half-hearted, but they've obviously there's still a lot of, it runs deep in there, the way they were treated by the SPFL and other clubs. So they've just got to get on with it now and look forward to next season in the Premiership. But it's good to get them back in the Premiership. I think that you need Hearts in the Premier League, and you need the derby games with Hibs, and I'm looking forward to them again next season.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to Wraith Rovers, but I'd love to see Dundee up as well. They've secured their playoff place. They're a point behind Wraith Rovers. They've secured their playoff place. I'd love to see Dundee up. Love the Dundee derbies as well. Great games. And of course, the Jambos against Hibs. I love the Edinburgh derby as well. I've seen so many of them down through the years, Ali. I don't know how many you've witnessed, but for me, it's great, especially if you're in the city and you know the way all your mates love Hearts and Hibs. It's great to get the buzz of that game, and I welcome it back next season.
I think it's a showcase game. I think it's one of the great games that comes up in our league, and I think we want to be selling them. We want to make the league as attractive as possible for investors, for sponsors. But outside of that, you're right. I think there's just a particular attention and a particular atmosphere within the city when there's a derby on. I think Tynecastle in particular, I think it's such a compact stadium where you're so close to the pitch. I think it just generates that electric kind of atmosphere when you've got a derby, especially when you've got a night game too. I think it's great fun for us to work at. It's great fun to go and watch. And hopefully by the turn of the year at least, you would like to think that we might be in a scenario where we're welcoming some fans back into stadiums. And these are the kind of games that people will be desperate to get to. Although having endured way more than a year of lockdown, I think people would be happy to clamber into any kind of game just now.
Yeah, absolutely. Tam, what was your favourite derby?
Probably the first one I ever played, Peter. I made my debut. First start was against Hearts at Tynecastle in the last game of the season, and Hearts had to win that game to get into Europe, and we'd a kind of shadow team. Alec McLeish had rested a few players and gave a few young boys an opportunity. So I played that day, and I played right wing, and I played against Gary Naismith, and I gave him a bit of a roasting, to be honest. I had a great game and got man of the match. So it was all downhill for there. We lost the game 2-1, but I played really well. And Darren Jackson, and I still laugh about it now, him and Colin Cameron took turns and he put lumps at me. And they put me in the track a couple of times. Right was next to all the Hearts fans. So listen, that was as Alison said there, there's no better atmosphere in Tynecastle than Edinburgh derby. I loved it there. I actually never managed to. You're talking about rewriting games. I played in the 4-4 game, and when we were 4-2 up with 3 minutes to go, and we drew 4 each. So I've got mixed memories, but probably my first one when I make my debut at Tynecastle, and there was one when Gary O'Connor, I think, scored in the last minute of the game when we were down to 10 men for most of the game, and at Easter Road. So great memories, and as I said, it's great to have those games back because the supporters love them in the city. The city becomes alive, and they're great to play, and they're great to watch, and they're great for the media as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant games. Great. Darren in a fight. Who'd have thought? Anyway, some other news that's coming in I want to get your thoughts on, guys. The SFA have got a plan to inject £1.5 million to kickstart grassroots football. All money is welcome, Alison.
Yeah, I think any investment will be welcome, but more importantly, I think there's just a whole generation of kids from the tiny ones right up to more senior level, just desperate to get back out and play football. Just think some of the kids have been allowed to train for a bit, but they've not been allowed to go into any games. I think just getting them back and playing will energise so many of them. I think will motivate so many of them. You just, I think these kids just live for getting back out onto the football pitch and playing games, because you can never replicate it. I think most teams will have training drills and games within themselves, but I think for anyone who plays football, you're just dying to have a Saturday morning game.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all dying to get to a situation where not only are the journalists working, but there's fans in the ground. The Carabao Cup final had 8,000, Tam, to witness Manchester City get the first trophy. They're looking for a treble. What did you make of their win?
Yeah, I think they deserve to win, Peter. I think that they dominated the ball, as they always do, Man City. And it was just a matter of time before that I thought they would go and break them down. Spurs, I think they'd one shot and goal. So it just wasn't good enough from a Spurs point of view. But Man City are different class at the minute. And as I said, it took them, 80 odd minutes to get that goal. But I think over the course of the game, they deserved it. And as you said, 8,000 fans in there. It was brilliant just to hear a bit of atmosphere. I know it's a big, massive stadium, 80,000 stadium, but even 8,000 in. And you could hear the cheers and the roars when something happened, a chance or a goal. And no, it was just hopefully that's just the beginning of getting supporters back in bigger numbers, because we're all desperate for that.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course. So we miss them, all the clubs, and it was not full, but they represent all the people in the season. So, and share it with them sounds better. They meet some good noise, so it's better. Of course, the reason why we do that is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's got the first one. I'm not sure, Alison, I'm being slightly biased towards Sir Alex Ferguson, but even if he wins the treble, it's not as good as Man United's 99 treble.
Well, you're setting a fairly high bar there, but I know where you're coming from. I think he's got a bit to go, but he'll be quietly content with this season so far and how it's went. I didn't fancy Man City at the start of the season. Thought Liverpool would retain their title. So I think he'll be fairly content with the return so far.
Yeah, one trophy in the bag. Is he going to overcome PSG to get to the Champions League final, Tam?
Yes, I think they will. I think that's the one that Man City want. That's where they've spent over £1 billion. We've always gone about it. And they've spent a fortune. And the one they want to Champions League, that is. And Pep wants that with Man City. You know, they've won everything else here and domestically. So it's money bags against money bags, isn't it? So we'll see what happens. But I just think that Man City have got more players on more money and more quality than PSG. But I'll be a cracking tie. There's no doubt about it. Hopefully Neymar and Di Maria and everybody's fit and they're playing. Mbappe, I think, picked up a little knock. Hopefully he's fit, because you want all the best players playing. But I think Man City will just edge it.
Yeah, there's somebody right now, Tam, who's just listened to what you've said and said, Man City have just spent a wee bit more money, and he's looking through all the wages of PSG and relating them to Manchester City. So, yeah, absolutely, it is going to be a tight one. But again, I mean, apart from anything else, yeah, they've spent the most money. I like Guardiola. I like the way his team plays football. Sometimes can be a wee bit over elaborate, but I still think, I don't know if you agree with me, Alison, when I like to compare generations and teams, I can think of the Real Madrid side from the early 60s when the tournament was in its infancy. For many older people, that Real Madrid side will be iconic and legendary. For me, when I look at the European Cup, I think of Ajax, early 70s, Bayern Munich's 3-time winning side with Franz Beckenbauer and Gerd Müller. And then I look towards AC Milan, which was a fantastic side. But the best one for me is Barcelona under, Guardiola. I just thought they were outrageous. I mean, played football from another planet.
Yeah, I'm sorry I cut off for a few seconds here, but I get the gist of what you were saying. But yeah, I think I'm going to go against the grain here. I think PSG might win it. I think PSG might go on and win the Champions League. And like you, I really like Pep Guardiola. I like listening to him. I like his calmness. I like his composure. I like the way his teams play football. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they've got it in them to go all the way. I think I would maybe fancy PSG to lift it.
Interesting. Yeah, and Real Madrid, Chelsea. I fancy Madrid to see Chelsea off, Tam.
Yeah, I do actually. I think Real Madrid have had a very, very slow start to the season, and I didn't fancy them at all. They were miles behind in the league as well, but they've really got their act together. I think over the last 2 or 3 months, and they've really put results together. And I think they've got a great chance to go all the way to the final. Their pedigree in the European Cup, Champions League is second to none, so they'll feel very confident that they can go in and win it. But yeah, Chelsea. Yeah, I think Real Madrid will beat Chelsea. I think they'll go through, and I think it'll be a Madrid-Man City final. I hope it's not an all English final, Peter. I hope one of the other teams are in there.
Yeah, share your view on that one. Andrew Breslin is I think he's being very unkind towards you, Tam, on some of the messages that are coming up here. He says, "Tam, nothing against you, son," which means there's a book coming. You know that. He says, he says here, and this is why I find it funny. Tam, he says, "Nothing against you. I know he's playing the Wido here." He says, "But you were actually one of the worst Hibs players." I mean, honestly, Tam. I mean, I could rhyme off 3,000 players that were worse than you at Hibs. I thought you were actually a good player at Hibs. In your day when you were a youngster strutting your stuff there, but I can think of more than a few duds that played for that.
I'd like to think so.
Oh, come on!
I'd like to think there was at least a couple more.
Oh, you kidding me? You're doing yourself a disservice, Tam. Andrew, take that back. Be kind to the man, for God's sake. Do you know what it is, Tam? See, once you have an opinion, you always get it in the neck. I mean, there is nothing worse than having an opinion after you've stopped playing.
Oh, well, Peter, I don't mind it. You've got to have an opinion. You can't sit in the fence. You can't be an Alan Rough type vanilla. You've got to be some sort of flavour. You've got to give your opinion. I'm only saying that because Ruffy's not here. But,
exactly.
You've got to give your opinion. If you get battered, you get battered. It's one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't believe you've slaughtered Ruffy after he's gone off sick. Thank you very much.
Hopefully he's all right.
So, I know exactly. So many people have just wished Ruffy the very best. He wasn't too well when he came on, actually, but just felt a wee bit dizzy. So he's having a wee lie down, which will do him the world of good, to be perfectly honest with you. And Lindsay Storier says, "Tam is a legend." Lindsay, thank you for that, because that's lifted his spirits again. Because he thrives on confidence.
I was devastated there.
He thrives on confidence, which hopefully will be low when my five-a-side team give his five-a-side team an absolute leathering. Anyway, apart from anything else, what about the Hall of Fame, which just been announced? I think it's a great idea down south in the Premier League. They should have done it earlier. But there are two players who are the first inductees into the the English Premier League Hall of Fame, I beg your pardon. Here's the first of them, Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry has become one of the first inductees into the Premier League Hall of Fame. The Frenchman spent 8 years at Arsenal, scoring a club record 175 goals in the top flight. He lifted 2 titles, including the 2003-04 season, the undefeated Invincibles. Henry also had 74 assists, including the joint record of 20 in one season, and he has a record 4 Premier League Golden Boots. Where do you think Henry ranks amongst English football's greatest?
Oh, he's up there, Ali. I mean, Gabriel, you can tell, enjoyed doing that voiceover. He's a big Arsenal fan. Henry was just... I mean, I thought Nicholas Anelka was a... absolutely.
Arsenal and Rangers?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you just can't forgive him for that full entire Rangers team of the week.
I'm finished. You'll
never let it lie. But I thought Nicholas Anelka was a good number 9 for Arsenal, and then suddenly in comes this genius, Alison.
Oh, he was so beautiful to watch. I thought he was such a graceful football player. Just the way he would glide past people, it was almost balletic to watch, and an extraordinary finisher. A real, just a very gifted player. If I had one criticism of Thierry Henry, it was that he never looked entirely happy after scoring goals and scoring goals of significant calibre. But I'm nitpicking.
Yeah, God, I'm surprised you said that, by the way. I mean, it's that kind of a moody French attitude, without stereotyping him too much, Tam, but that's what he was like. I mean, God, he scores some wonderful goals. I mean, he also, Tam, managed to replicate what Henrik Larsson did. He moved to Barcelona and won the Champions League.
No, for me, he's the best. He's the best English Premiership striker that I've seen in the English Premiership. I thought he had everything. You know, as Alison said there, he just glided across the ground. He was fantastic. His goal scoring record, you know, he done it at Barcelona. He won it with France, won World Cups and that. So for me, Henry is the best that's played in the English Premiership. And that could be up for argument, but for me, that's my opinion. I thought Henry was brilliant. I think the guy who you're going to go into probably was up there as well, Shearer.
Well, for me, this man is the best.
Alan Shearer has become one of the first inductees into the Premier League Hall of Fame. Shearer is the all-time leading top Premier League scorer with 260 goals and he's 3 golden boots to go with it. He scored 112 goals for Blackburn and helped fire them to the 1994-95 title. The Englishman then notched 148 goals for his boyhood team Newcastle, another club record. Where do you think Shearer ranks amongst English football's greatest?
It's a big debate, Ali, but I think if he'd joined Manchester United, he'd be looking in his trophy cabinet at every medal you could possibly imagine. I mean, I like a striker who's got a bit of nastiness about them, and he had it. He had that as well. I thought he was a fantastic player. I'm not too sure whether Harry Kane will beat his record. I just thought Shearer was a great player.
No, it's
he was outstanding. Yeah. No.
Yeah, good point, Tam. But he just out. I mean, he could score all sorts of goals, Ali.
Yeah, he's a clever footballer. I always thought Alan Shearer, and as you say, he the physicality to go with it as well as the composure when it came to finishing. I thought he was a nuisance. He really was. I agree with what you say. I think had he left Newcastle and gone to Man United, I think he would have played regularly in one of the all-time fabulous Old Trafford sides, but his loyalty kept him at Newcastle. But he was an outstanding footballer, but he was also the real golden boy for a period of time too of English football, wasn't he? I think remember Neil Lennon talking about getting booted in the head by him when he was at Leicester, and Shearer getting away with murder just because of obviously his status within the Premier League and within English football.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I have to say, of the modern day players, the only one that I think is, for me, one of the best of the last decade is just about to leave Manchester City. And will he leave with a European Cup medal in his tail is Sergio Aguero, who has just been an absolute joy to watch. Gary McGurn says, you know, what about Scottish legends? Well, Gary, I might as well tell you, Thierry Henry, magnificent. Shearer, unbelievable. Aguero, fantastic. Tam. These are all guys from 92 onwards, but none of them can hold a candle to Kenny Dalglish. I don't mind telling them, you know. Dalglish is on our planet, Tam. I know you're too young to remember, but believe me, the boy was a legend. I mean, he was just unbelievable. Nobody could touch him.
My dad shares the same point of view as you. I think he's one of my dad's favourites, Ken Dalglish. But as you said, he's well before my time. I only remember him as a manager at Blackburn, probably.
Oh, Tam, to grow up and watch him play, you know, for Celtic and Liverpool was an absolute joy. A guy who made football look easy, supplying goals and scoring them right foot, left foot, head, you name it. He was absolutely sensational. There you are. No point in going to you, Ali, because I know you'll agree with me. And if you don't, then you're in big trouble. It's as simple as that. But anyway, 2 guys in, and I think there'll be more in the Hall of Fame. We'll obviously get a chance to debate them as time goes on. Thank you very much to everyone for their point of view. Don't forget to join us every day, 4 o'clock on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter as well. Have we jinxed it for Tam McManus, who thinks Hibs? You think Hibs will win the cup now, Tam? Surely we've got to say it on the programme.
Think they will.
Come on, Tam. Hibs are going to win the cup. Is that what you're telling me? What? You've just told me you're a guy who gives an opinion. Are Hibs going to win the cup?
Aye. What high beat?
And therein is the problem. He's like,
yeah, exactly.
terrified.
McManus has jinxed it for the Hibbies. Anyway, we shall find out. Thanks to you for watching us on the programme. Don't forget, you can follow us on our Facebook, you can subscribe on our YouTube, and you can watch it at PLZ Soccer. Big news coming up in the next week or two. We've got a new app coming out which will basically offer you everything at your fingertips. News from right across the world of football. And of course, you'll be able to interact. You'll be able to record yourself, and you could be on the programme telling exactly what you think of the game you've just watched.
Hopefully no Andrew Breslin.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, no, I don't think Andrew Breslin will be recording anything for you, Tam. Yeah, Lindsay Storier will put out a video for you, Tam. I'm almost certain. To everyone who's watched today, thank you. It's all about opinions, and you'll get them here on the Football Show from Ali, Tam, and myself. Peter, hopefully, fingers crossed, Roughie will be back with us tomorrow with Tam Cowan as well as Darren Jackson. Hopefully he's feeling a little bit better. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deal